What's up, guys? So it looks to me like DWAC is unfortunately not going to be able to perform as great as I was expecting it to. Honestly, this had a chance to do something really, really big, but with the market rolling over the way that it did, I would say that most likely it's not going to be able to hold up unless SPY ends up getting a nice bounce. But so far, what I've kind of been watching was this 44.17 is what ended up coming in as significant support. And, originally I was watching that 44.87. That was really, some areas that were holding up here that if you ended up getting stopped out below that level, that was a smart move as well. We did lose this rising wedge that we have been talking about. We were tapping this upper resistance here multiple times. It was very clear. Now, although it's been holding up, and I say that with quotations, compared to the rest, I think is just because it is trying to hold the support. This is a big area right here. But what happens when we start to lose it and close below? You free fall. So we're on the border line right now of that free fall, which is unfortunate because I am still in my position. I didn't close it on here. But, we were talking about how you get an hourly candle close below, and usually price comes back and retests it, and then it will continue down. The fact that it was continuing to hold this 44 level gave me a little more optimism that, maybe this is just going to, go sideways for a bit and potentially create, like start scooping or, hold this level and then double bottom, and around the same chopping action, SPY is going to hit its low again and get another little rally, which might be able to bring this thing up a little higher. But it's hard to get really bullish in these type of markets because everything is just falling and everything's in giant corrections or bear markets or anything. I mean, this is still down quite a bit as well. But, with some of that, I wasn't playing this based off of the Truth Social launching news or anything like that. I'm just playing it off the chart just because it's like, hey, this thing's looking like a double bottom and it could continue up. It's still, I'm starting to get a little bit more bearish, unfortunately, now that we have lost this support. We can see we're just going sideways. And although we're going sideways, and a lot of people I notice, like in comment sections, or not in my comment sections, but say on Web Bull comments and all that, a lot of people say, oh, this is holding up really well compared to the rest of the market. Well, yes, it was holding support, but unfortunately, as it's chopping here, what is it doing? It's making some down. It went down, and it's starting to make bearish continuation potentially. This right here, because we had this breakdown from this wedge, and now we're just kind of chopping sideways, we're getting into a tight range. And right now, pre-market, this is below that $44. One thing I was looking at here on the RSI, we had talked about this RSI area. We want this to hold as support. And it was just like a small idea. It's not like I was going to base everything off of this because, like I said, it was like so choppy where the price came up above, and fell back in. So this isn't like super clear or anything in my opinion, but it was something that I was watching here, and we were talking about how it was in that rising wedge, and we were up in this point. Maybe we'd come back down and double bottom off this line and continue up, and that might end up being that 44.87 or 44 something. And we did end up falling through, and now it was starting to look like we were potentially trying to make a little double bottom here, maybe come back up and retest that line, because that's something that we did do a few times here. We tested it, but like I said, I'm not putting too much weight on that. It's just I like to watch it because it had some confluence in the past. But right now, this is kind of looking like, this is just a 1 hour pattern, but this is looking like some bearish continuation as we fell through this wedge. Like I said before, the target of the wedge is this 43.11 to 43.29. Whether or not that gives us a nice bounce area, it's hard to say that right now. The other things that you can look at too is like a 4 hour time frame, and we can see if we are getting any type of, MACD or or RSI rollover, and we can see so far that we have rolled over right here on the RSI already, and the MACD is starting to roll over here. There's no like bearish divergence or anything in my opinion, but you know, we're at resistance right now. This is going to be a chop zone right here, and it's like the same thing that was going on here. We were really slow. Oh, this is holding up really well. I mean, this was a little higher price too. But unfortunately, if we do roll over here, then what's going to happen is this is going to be screwing up our whole W pattern idea, and now we're going to have another even lower high here. So could we come back down and reclaim this again, $38, $39, and then rip back up? That's in the cards. But if we lose this $44 range and start closing below, and we, excuse me, sorry, we start rejecting on it, then unfortunately, that's going to pretty much show us where it's going. And whether or not the market continues to sell off and the SPY does lose its recent low of like 385, then this is going to either end up failing miserably and coming down pretty low, or hopefully it can get a nice bounce. But like I said previously, like although I'm looking at this as a symmetrical triangle, we had to remember the whole time, which I was keeping in mind, trying to keep in mind, we have a bearish move that came into this pattern, and now it's consolidating in a symmetrical triangle, which, you know, these can work out both ways, but it usually depends on the move going in. But the biggest thing, like I said, for me was this double bottom, and now as we are stopping at this previous resistance line, this is where we could definitely see another drop. And you don't want to see that, although you could call it a triple bottom, or someone might say, if we did come down here, oh, it's a triple bottom. You know, you could try to play this support here and just put a stop loss somewhere below this wick here if it does go down there. But I don't know. I think this was its main chance to do something. So right now I'm not feeling too confident anymore that we're going to be able to rip out of here. So we'll have to wait and see how the price action goes. But we are below that 44. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to get my stops hit outside of you know, market hours. So I'm going to wait and see. We can see over here we did have a wick that came down here to this 43.80 to 43.75-ish area here. And that can still happen. We can just get a wick down there. But it is starting to roll too. Like you can see the price. This is just a 15-minute, but we can see the price action is starting to round over, which is not really the best thing to see because you want to obviously see the opposite effect. So that could start signaling a drop. Now, of course, if this did end up trading sideways here, even with like a wick below and it doesn't ever close below, then there you go. Now, something that you can also do if you're like, oh, well, I don't understand when it closes below, or I can't, it's hard to figure out what that looks like. One thing that you can do is you can actually change your chart. I think I'm just going to hit the, yeah, you hit the, if you're on TradingView, you hit the three little lines there. You go to chart type, and you can change it to a line chart. And when you do that, it only shows the closing price. So you could actually confirm this when you see the line closed below any of this previous price action, or in our case, well, my case, below this 44. If you see one of these line charts start to show that 44 and closing below, then that's going to signal it right there in my view. So I like to do that. So, you know, it's unfortunate here, but we tried, and you can't win them all. And in these markets, man, I'm telling you, it's very hard to find long positions. Like, you know, the last three that I did that I profited pretty good was SKYH, which I got a nice rip off of it. It was like a $3 move or something, you know, from, I think it was like, it was a double bottom play, which didn't completely play out, but I think it went from like $7.30 to $11.50 or $11. I played that up. The red box move, I played that one from $3.30 to $10, and then during that rip down, it dropped really fast down to like my 225 support or 212. I bought it again, and it ripped all the way back up to a 570 resistance, and I sold that. That was a day trade, but like I said, this market, when you're trying to find these longs and stuff, it is very ridiculously hard. And in my opinion, although we could make a lot of money like shorting, there's many of things out here that we can short. ABVI or ABBV, I mean, this is more an expensive one. I've been kind of watching this one. You can see this one had a large support. This is on a line chart. Let me change that back. Oops, sorry. Chart type, Hikinashi, there we go. So this one, we had this large support, and then when that support broke, we had a huge drop, and then we just pretty much been going sideways in this rising wedge, potentially, and then what did we do? We broke that rising wedge, and we back tested it right here, 154, and it's continuing down here. So this one could have a pretty nasty fall, and it could come back down and retest this low of this wick or lower, but that's 140. So this one is already starting in that continuation. Just have to watch some of these other wicks, because that's how this will happen sometimes, because people are still going to buy levels that they think might hold, like this one. So if this comes back down, it might test that, then create a rising wedge again. But this one, to me, looks like it's continuing way down. You can short, you can play all that kind of stuff. You just got to find the confirmation. And in a bear market, that's where you're going to get your most power. But in my view, I'm trying to, even in the hardest time, I'm trying to find longs in practice on how I can take longs with proper risk management as well as potential confirmations. Because when it's in the bull market, yeah, you can say you can throw a dart and win anything, but you can still get some fake outs and you can still get some things. So I think this is just challenging myself as a trader by attempting to find longs that work out. Now, of course, it would have been nice to be in like down here. Like I said, I got in right around here, right before this rip, and then I ended up adding some within this range here. And now it's looking like it's going to roll over. And I'm going to be getting either stopped out at break even or maybe like a $10 loss or something, because my average is like the 43.50 or something. So, but if we can continue to hold this, if we can get back above this 44.17 and get back up here, and we ripped back up, we still have resistance up at this 46.15 again. But we just have to be really careful right now, because it's looking pretty crazy. And if you want it, you can also put we could also draw something like this. I mean, it's going to look kind of like a big broadening channel or something like that. But even still, we're below it. But say it starts to buy back up and we start getting rejected right around this point here, which is like 44.50. This might be your next signal, like, okay, I got to get out of this thing. It can't even get back into this previous, support right here. There's a couple ways to watch it. So I'm going to be looking potentially for an exit point. I'm going to watch the price action. I'm not going to exit right here at 9:30. I'm going to wait probably till 10 unless we have a big drop that stops me out. Because I'm not going to stay in. I'm not going to stay into this target, I don't think. I'm pretty sure that I'm just going to get myself stopped out if we breach like 43.60 or something like that. I might just say, all right, that's as much as I'm going to take for now, just to manage my risk. I don't want to lose a bunch. So anyway, I'm sorry guys that this didn't work out, but I can't control the markets. I'm just trying to give you guys what I'm doing and what I'm seeing, and it was a nice try. And so far, it doesn't seem like it's going to hold. But if it does end up ripping back up and holding, then great. I'll have a better thing to talk about later on. Maybe I'll do an update on this if you guys hit enough like buttons. If I can at least get 5 likes, then I'll do another update later on around like 1. But all right, peace.